Duty-free isn't actually free. It never was. Every year, travelers spend over $86 billion walking through those glowing shops between security and your gate, convinced they're getting a deal. Most of them aren't. Some of them are getting robbed in broad daylight with a smile and a shopping bag to prove it. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which duty-free deals are real, which ones are a trap, and how the entire industry is built to separate you from your money in the 15 minutes before you board a plane. Let's start with what duty-free actually is, because most people get this wrong. Duty-free means the retailer doesn't pay import duty or certain local sales taxes on goods sold to international travelers, since technically those goods are leaving the country. That's it. That's the entire mechanism. It does not mean the retailer is passing that savings to you. It does not mean the price is lower than what you'd pay outside the airport, and it does not mean there's no markup. It's a tax exemption on the seller side. What happens to that exemption between the seller and your wallet is where the story gets interesting. Here's the first thing they don't want you doing: comparing prices. A 2019 investigation by a UK consumer group compared duty-free prices at major airports against the same exact products at supermarkets and high street retailers. The result? On dozens of items: perfume, electronics, chocolate, sunglasses, duty-free prices were the same or higher than what you'd pay at a regular store. Tax included. How is that possible if there's no tax? Simple. The retailer starts from a higher base price, removes the tax, and lands right back around or above what you'd pay anywhere else. You saved on tax, you paid it back in markup. Net result: zero savings, sometimes a loss. Rule of thumb: if you didn't check the price of that exact item on Amazon or at a local store within the last month, you have no way of knowing if duty-free is actually cheaper. You're trusting a sign that says tax-free and assuming that means cheap. Second trap, and this one's sneakier: currency conversion. International airports often price items in whatever currency benefits them, and when you pay by card, you'll frequently be offered dynamic currency conversion, where the terminal asks, "Would you like to pay in your home currency instead?" Say yes, and you've just agreed to let the merchant's bank set the exchange rate instead of your own card network. That rate is almost always worse, typically 3 to 7% worse than what your bank would give you automatically. The fix: always choose to pay in the local currency of the country you're in, never your home currency, when a card terminal gives you the option. Let your own bank handle the conversion. They almost always do it cheaper. Perfume and alcohol get marketed the hardest in duty-free because they have the widest margins. But here's what most people don't check: brand outlet stores and even big box retailers outside the airport routinely beat duty-free pricing on the exact same bottles. A litre of well-known whiskey that looks like a steal at $45 in duty-free can often be found for the same price, or less, at a warehouse club back home with zero risk of a broken bottle in checked luggage. The one place duty-free alcohol and tobacco genuinely wins. When you're traveling from a low-tax country into a high-tax country, think flying into Scandinavia or certain parts of Southeast Asia, where local sin taxes are brutal. That's the actual use case. Everywhere else, it's convenience pricing, not a deal. Notice the countdown clocks, the limited time offer boards, the last chance before you fly signage plastered across every aisle. That messaging is identical every single day to every single traveler. Regardless of what flight you're on, there is no real scarcity. It's the same psychological trigger retailers have used forever. Manufactured urgency, just weaponized in a place where you're bored, have nothing else to do, and have already accepted you're going to spend money on something before boarding. Here's the part that explains everything else. Airport retailers pay enormous rent to operate in that terminal, often called concession fees, which can eat up 30 to 40% of their total revenue, sometimes more at major hub airports. That cost doesn't disappear. It gets baked directly into the shelf price before you ever see it. So even without the currency games or pressure tactics, the base economics of an airport shop mean prices start inflated just to cover rent. The tax exemption is layered on top of an already expensive starting point. This one costs people real money at customs. Duty-free purchases are only actually tax-free if they fall within your destination country's personal allowance, not the country you bought them in. Buy 2 liters of duty-free spirits, but your destination only allows 1 liter duty-free per traveler? You may owe tax on the excess the moment you land, sometimes more than you saved buying it duty-free in the first place. Always check your arrival country's allowance, not just what the shop lets you carry. To be fair, duty-free isn't a scam in every case. It genuinely wins when you're buying tobacco or alcohol destined for a high-tax country. You've already price-checked the exact item against retail. You're paying in local currency, not getting hit with conversion fees, and you're staying within your destination's allowance. Outside of that narrow window, you're mostly paying for the convenience of not thinking, and that convenience has a price tag most people never bother to check. Quick recap before you board your next flight. 1. Duty-free removes tax, not markup. 2. Always pay in local currency. 3. Check prices before you fly, especially perfume and alcohol. 4. Ignore the countdown clocks. They're fake urgency. 5. High rent means high base prices. And 6. Know your destination's allowance before you buy. If this saved you from getting played on your next layover, subscribe. This channel breaks down the hidden costs and financial traps most people walk right past. Next video, we're covering how airport lounges actually make their money. You'll want to see that one before your next flight. Please hit the subscribe button and like the